Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. Getting over Christmas really, and a bit sluggish at the minute. So I thought I'd set myself a task of doing something a little bit more detailed in the way of drawing than I normally would do. And then I thought, you know what, let's try this in Tayasui Sketches. Because to be honest, I've only ever done sketches in Tayasui that take, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour. And that's it, nothing complex. So I wanted to see how much detail I could get in with drawing in Tayasui as a sort of standard size image that's sort of default when you open it up. And this is what I came up with, and I have to say I'm really impressed with the amount of detail you can get in Tayasui. I wanted to use Tayasui because to me, it feels the closest thing to drawing on a piece of paper, and I wouldn't be relying on all of the technology to help me through the drawing. I wanted to sort of get in there and practice my drawing skills after a very lazy Christmas. So let's just get into the video and see how I got on. So I'm opening up Tayasui Sketches. I've got this weird thing happening where I've got like 2 drawings already open and I've tried to delete them and it won't. So I'm just going to go into one of these. What I want to do is see if I can do a detailed drawing, which I've never really attempted before in Tayasui. So I want to use a pencil. I wondered if I could get sort of a coloured ground. So I think I'm going to begin with a watercolour brush and just put a tone on the paper. I think that would be quite nice. So the colour I'm going to go for, I want to sort of an earthy brown. So I might choose colour. Yeah, that's what I'm sort of looking for. And I'm happy to have all these blobs and things on it. Because I want it to be a natural looking drawing, not something too contrived. In actual fact, I'm wondering if I should, let's just undo this and change the brush. I think if I choose this one, don't know so much. Yeah, it blends better at the edges. You keep that nice wet edge going, but I don't like that, it's too dark. So what I'm going to do, just start again. Nothing on it. Use the watercolour brush. Got the colour I want. Get some colour on there. That one's locked. Create a new layer. Got pencil selected. That seems to be working. Let's try again. Some weird things going off with Tayasui today, I have to say. I don't know how this is going to pan out. Straight away I feel like I need to be zoomed in a bit, but I just want to get the basic shapes in. Oh, down there. Coming off the edge of the... I don't think that's anything like as I'm looking at the drawing and I'm looking at the width of his head and the width of his arm. So I've got his elbow in the right place, but then his shirt comes kind of out there like that. That's better. So that's wrong. Let's just get rid of that. And this comes sort of down at an angle. That's not him smiling, I promise. Get rid of that smiley face. Right. Those are quite a lot lower. Means his chin's down there more. Hearing. Of course, these can all be changed. Neck like that. Yeah, that's a bit better. There we go. Christmas satellite. I don't know how much detail I'm going to put in this. Chair sort of comes there, but I just want to see if I can do anything that's a bit more complex drawing wise than I normally do, because if I'm going to do something complex, I tend to go for Procreate or an app like that, something I sort of has got a lot more power in it, I guess. But I don't see why I shouldn't be able to do this in Tayasui. So we'll see. There with the chair. Oh, I forgot the backside, the back of the, I don't know what you call this on the chair, style or something. Painting a door, it would be a style. So I can see I need to come out way more. It's okay. Right, let's now look at rethink proportions. Go. This is Ben, by the way, who my daughter's partner. They've just got back from Australia, and they bought a house. They worked really hard while they was in Australia, saved up the deposit for a house, came back, and they invited us over for Christmas dinner, which was really nice because Fran's a good cook. Because while I was in Australia, she was working as I'll say cook, not chef. She was working as a cook on a ranch. So she had to cook for all these ranches every day. And Ben worked as a cowboy. He got these cool photos where he sat on top of a horse with his cowboy hat on and everything, looking very cool. Maybe I should sketch one of them at some point. I like this photo because it's sort of a reflective moment when the few moments in the day when everything wasn't absolutely manic and full on, because everybody's a little bit musical in my family, and we've got ukuleles out and bass guitars and tambourines and things for those that can't play instruments. And we're doing like a monster rendition of Hey Jude that went on, that seemed like forever. And it was really, really, really good fun. Just sort of somehow keep forgetting that I'm just supposed to be sketching in rough detail, and then I get completely carried away. I need to get back to that sort of idea. Oh, I'm actually up there, not down. Even look at what you're doing. Right, his leg comes way out. It's about there. Thumb. So that's his legs just off, way out here somewhere, like that, which is good because that takes me right to the that menu doesn't disappear. So I should be able to zoom in now, I guess, and I think before I do that though, I'll just start putting in some tones just to see how it's looking with a bit of light and shade. I can't believe my Apple Pencil is nearly out of a charge because I charged it up just before Christmas, and I suppose it could be flat because I haven't touched it much for I guess over a week and a half. So this is rough shading really, it's nothing too detailed at this point. So this is similar to my owl sketch, I suppose. Sort of similar techniques. I'm using lots of hatching with this though. And I intend to do it with a pencil. I might use some white pencil in the drawing as well. See how it goes. Squinting my eyes to work out where all these tones go. Really dark tones there. The arm sort of disappears off of the page. That sort of, I don't want him to look too muscular because he's a slim build guy really. That's all wrong, isn't it? Just stall in. In there. All right. We've got all of this. I think actually I've sort of got this wrong as well. That's much more compact than I've got it sketched in at the minute, which means his whole arm could come back that way a little bit. If I look at it, it's sort of a fold in there, and then some little fold like that. Sleeve, maybe it might be not too bad. Now that does make his arm look a bit too long, perhaps. Maybe now it wants to come not massively. What? Not massively wrong. Okay. Oh. Adjustments required. I just sort of sat back and looked at it and thought, you know what, that's way, way out. Right. And like that. That's sort of, that better. Yeah, I'm just sitting back and looking at that and thinking that's a bit better. I wonder if I can get a likeness. Let's see what we can do. Now, apparently I can zoom in quite a lot, which is useful. I've got a reference image on my PC, so I'm going to zoom in on that as well. Oops, I probably zoomed in too much. There we go, and let's see what we can do. Being able to zoom in is useful because I can see all his features really well. Oh, that's a bit. Oops. Doesn't know I'm doing this actually, so I must have a little chat with him before I release this video. If you're watching it, it means that he says it's okay. Well, I'm going to speed things up a little bit now because sort of just repetitive drawing techniques. And if I didn't speed it up, the whole thing would just take forever and ever. And it would be a really long, even longer than the video I made of the painting over a black and white image, which was like an hour or plus. So anyway, I didn't want it to be that long, and I thought I could put music on it, but I thought no, I'll still put some dialogue over it because there's things that I want to mention, and I am going to slow it down again when I start to put the white pencil in, because what I'm doing here, I've obviously got this sort of beige background in. I'm working with a black pencil, but I'm going to draw over it with a white pencil. At the minute, I'm sort of struggling on getting the lightness right, because the thing is, the actual face is only a small part of the drawing. There's a lot more going off with his body and everything. So when you're drawing small, it becomes more difficult to get that lightness, I think. So if I'd just done the face, I think it would have been easier. So the amount of detail I'm getting there in a really small area of the Tayasui canvas, I think is incredible. I think that's really good. And I think I'm certainly proving to myself that you can do a detailed sketch in Tayasui Sketches. You don't have to be restricted to doing quick sketches. Nearly everything I've ever done is really quick in Tayasui, but I wanted to sort of push boundaries a little bit with this one. You can see there I wasn't happy with the eye on the right at all. So what I did, I just sort of shaded over the whole of the eye to make it black, and then used the eraser to redraw it again. So I was actually drawing the highlights of the eyelids with the eraser. And now I'm putting shadow around the nose, working on the ear. And I can see, looking at the ear, I've totally got it too low. If you look at the photograph, look how low the ear is. So that's going to have to be adjusted shortly. That's the thing with, if you're doing a portrait, I think you've got to be prepared to rub anything out and move things around. It would have been nice if I got it right in the first place. I've just realised there, look, that I'd got it in the wrong place. And I could use, like the cut tool and move things around. I don't want to. When I use Tayasui, I want it to be as much like sketching on a piece of paper, because I don't want to lose those skills. I don't want to lose the ability to be able to draw and not rely on the technology all the time. That's why I use Tayasui, just for that, because in the other apps it's so easy it's so easy for me to cut and paste things because I've learned all those tools. In Tayasui, I've deliberately avoided learning all the lasso tools and things and how to move stuff around, because I don't want to be able to use it. I want to be able to rely on my ability to draw. So that's why you'll see in here lots of erasing, no cutting and pasting. Well, I was tempted on the hand, I must admit. So I've kind of got the shapes in exactly where I want them now. So once I do that, I can start shading with confidence and getting in all those nice dark tones. And at the minute, it's still looking, the old drawing to me looks a little bit flat. Sort of zooming in on the chair. I had a bit of a trouble sort of getting the look as though his arm is leaning over the chair, and not just sort of cut off and stuck on next to it. So I sort of had to fiddle about with that a little bit to get it just right. And you can see I'm leaving highlights for where the light catches the folds in the shirt. I actually shade in the back style on the chair. I overshade it and lose it, and I had to draw that back in later on. And when I did, the actual perspective of the style on the chair gets distorted slightly, which was very unfortunate. So I'm just sort of working along the drawing, doing all the shading in it, tweaking little areas like on the sleeve there, putting the buttons in, more shading, and then I go in on the hand. I zoom in for this one, obviously, and I'm paying real close attention to the actual source photo to try and get that hand looking like a hand instead of 4 sausages, which it looked like a few minutes ago. And then I do some quick shading, and you may notice at this point that the shading has got rougher and rougher as I'm progressing. Now I've slowed the video down again now because I want to show you this bit, because this is where I'm going in, putting the white highlights into the drawing. And as you can see, as soon as I start putting those highlights in, the whole thing starts to pop. You can almost see the texture of the shiny bit of skin in the corner of his eye. And so just by putting these highlights in with the white pencil, so I've just selected white from the color palette, it's totally, for me, it's totally transforming this drawing and just making it look so much more lifelike, and it's got so much more depth than it had without that. So I think it's a great way of drawing, working on a tinted coloured ground. Do your drawing in pencil and then pop in your highlights over that with a nice white pencil. See, I'm sort of putting in some hatching on the cheekbones there. And at this point, I'm quite happy with the lightness of him. I think I've nailed him pretty well. Working on the ear now. Just sort of taking my time, putting in these highlights. That's why I've slowed it down. I wanted you to see this process, because obviously it's very different to just sketching in the black. Where I was looking at, when I was doing the black, I was looking at the contours of the shapes and trying to shade around those. Now I'm looking at how the light is bouncing off the surface and trying to get those not textures isn't the right, those highlights, the light sort of just bouncing off his skin in there, and off his clothes as well, which I'll be doing shortly. But at the minute I'm just concentrating on his face. It is sort of difficult because it's not the best lit photograph either. As you can see, it's quite flat, so I've sort of had to use my imagination just a little bit just to get some of this detail in. So I'm going to speed it up again now, because I'm just sort of repeating that same process over his clothes. And you can see as soon as I start to sketch in that white, it just makes everything pop so much. Working on his hand just lifts it. There we go. I think I'm putting a little bit, I'm sort of skipping between black and white and just adding a little bit more texture onto the arm of that chair there. Which reminds me, one thing I should say is that the white is drawn on a separate layer to the black, so I can erase it if I don't like it. And there we are. That is my finished sketch of Ben in Tayasui Sketches, working in detail. Really enjoyed doing this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a thumbs up. It's much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. And there you can see I've drawn in the background as well. Hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.